Do you remember this video?
कि हाई कोर्ट के जज होकर के आप ऐसा बोल रहे हैं। कानून तो भैया बहुत संक्षक से चलता है। परिवार में भी देखिए, समाज में भी देखिए, जहां पर अधिक लोग होंगे जो कहते हैं उसी को माना जाता है। लेकिन आप जबरदस्ती करेंगे आप कि नहीं साहब हम तो ये मान के चलेंगे। लेकिन मैं क्या आपको बता दूं, ये जो जिनकी हम बात कर रहे हैं सब बुरे नहीं है, वो सब बुरे भी नहीं है। ये जो कुरीतियां या बुराइयां जो हम आपको बता रहे हैं वो भी मानते हैं ये बुराइयां हैं। वो चार पत्नियों के पक्ष में नहीं रहते हैं, पत्नी को तलाक ट्रिपल तलाक के पक्ष में नहीं रहते हैं, बच्चियों को मार दिया जाए इससे पक्ष में नहीं रहते हैं। लेकिन जो कह लीजिए आप सब गलत है, लेकिन कहने में गुरेज नहीं है, क्योंकि वो देश के लिए घातक हैं, बिगाड़ने वाले लोग हैं, जनता को बरगलाने वाले लोग हैं, देश आगे न बढ़े इस प्रकार के लोग हैं।
That was Justice Shekhar Yadav, a sitting judge of the Allahabad High Court. In December 2024, he addressed a gathering organized by the Vishwa Hindu Parishad within the Allahabad High Court Bar Association premises. His communal statements allegedly targeted the Muslim community, used derogatory words, and also made comments on the lines of India should function according to the wishes of the majority and that only a Hindu can make this country a Vishwa Guru, etc. Those were the kind of statements he made at the event organized by the VHP. Basically, saying things that do not suit a judge's image at all. Many called out Justice Shekhar Yadav for hate speech. Few opposition MPs moved a motion in the Rajya Sabha to impeach Justice Yadav. Parallelly, the Supreme Court also took cognizance of the speech made by Justice Yadav. The top court asked for an explanation from the judge in a closed-door meeting. Reports suggest the judge was told by the Supreme Court Collegium, which was headed by then CJI Sanjeev Khanna, that an apology will have to be made for the comments made at the event. But that apology never came. In fact, a few weeks after that, Justice Yadav doubled down. He wrote to the Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court saying he stands by what he said and that he did not violate any rules of judicial conduct. By February or March 2025, the Supreme Court was all set to initiate an in-house inquiry. That is, an internal mechanism of the Supreme Court where the CJI selects some judges to probe the controversial conduct of a judge. If the charges are proven against the judge, either the judge's removal may be recommended or he or she may be asked to resign. So the Supreme Court was all set to kickstart that procedure. But then came a letter that asked the Supreme Court of India to not proceed with an in-house inquiry against Justice Shekhar Yadav. Hello and welcome, I'm Shubham Chauhan. Let's get started. In March 2025, the Rajya Sabha Secretariat wrote a letter to the Supreme Court of India. Now, the Rajya Sabha Secretariat is an office that looks after the secretarial functions of the upper house, like pay salaries of MPs, give amenities to them, etc. As per official documents, it functions under the overall guidance and control of the Rajya Sabha chairman, which is Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar in this case. Now, the Secretariat's letter was reportedly addressed to the Chief Justice of India. The message in it was very categorical to the Supreme Court. Do not proceed with an in-house inquiry against Justice Shekhar Yadav. The reason, the Rajya Sabha Secretariat said, was that an impeachment motion against Justice Yadav was already pending, and hence the Rajya Sabha has exclusive jurisdiction over the matter. Utkarsh Anand of Hindustan Times reported this story yesterday. His report, quoting sources, said this assertion by the Rajya Sabha Secretariat, or Jagdeep Dhankar if you like, prompted the judiciary to defer to parliamentary process. In other words, take a step back and let Parliament tackle this case. The Hindustan Times report said that once this letter was brought to the notice of then CJI Sanjeev Khanna, he was clear that an in-house probe, which is a non-statutory and internal mechanism, should not run parallel to a Parliament process. Now, the impeachment motion in Parliament and the statutory process comes under the Judges Inquiry Act of 1968. The law says that a motion against High Court or Supreme Court judge for proved misbehavior or incapacity must be admitted by the presiding officer of the house concerned. So either minimum 50 Rajya Sabha MPs or a minimum 100 Lok Sabha MPs need to sign the impeachment motion and then submit it to the chair. So in this case, the Rajya Sabha chairman has to admit the no confidence motion. Notably, the Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairman, Jagdeep Dhankar, is yet to decide on what to do with this impeachment motion which was sent in by a few opposition MPs. Senior advocate and Rajya Sabha MP Kapil Sibal weighed in on this and questioned whether the Modi government is trying to shield Justice Yadav by kicking the can down the road as far as the impeachment motion of Justice Shekhar Yadav is concerned. Listen to this bite as to what senior advocate Kapil Sibal has said, and it's slightly longish, but he's trying to make a larger point here.
According to me, very unfortunate. And in fact, it smacks of discrimination. For if it is your case that having found out in the public domain that an in-house procedure was going on, and therefore, since a petition was pending before you for impeachment, the Secretary General of the Rajya Sabha decided to write and inform the Chief Justice of India that that motion is pending, and therefore you shouldn't go forward with your in-house procedure. Whereas we all know that the in-house procedure has nothing to do with the impeachment motion, and that impeachment motion has not even been admitted so far.
So what exactly is holding up the impeachment motion against Justice Yadav? Reports say the verification of signatures is going on. The verification of signatures on the impeachment motion. 6 months on, signatures are still being verified. The Indian Express followed up on HT's story from yesterday. It said that Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar may form an inquiry committee to probe the allegations against Justice Yadav. It said, quoting sources in the opposition, that the signature duplication happened due to some misunderstanding during the signing of the papers. And 3 sets of representation were prepared for submission. Now, this signature issue is something that even Jagdeep Dhankar had flagged in Parliament a few months back. But again, nothing has moved. The signatures still haven't been verified 6 months after an impeachment motion was sent by opposition MPs. Now, it's important to note that even if one signature is found invalid, there's a big question mark that will come up on the validity of the impeachment motion itself. If the total number of valid signatures falls below 50 MPs, then there is no question of impeachment of Justice Shekhar Yadav as things stand.
We filed the impeachment motion on December 13, 2024, and we are in June 2025. 6 months have passed, and the Secretariat has not yet verified, Secretariat of the Rajya Sabha has not yet verified 55 signatures. How long does that take? I asked the Secretariat of the Rajya Sabha. How long does that take? And how long will it take? And how long will you be delaying this? Because your attempt of this government is to save Shekhar Yadav for what he said, which was entirely communal, when he made this speech on 8th of December 2024. And the Chief Justice of India decided to start an in-house procedure to find out as to what the stand of Shekhar Yadav was. He was called. He was asked as to whether he had given this speech, of course, that he couldn't deny. And after that, when obviously the government thought that this would go further and the in-house procedure would start, especially when the Allahabad Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court gave a negative report, and there were other complaints also against Shekhar Yadav. So knowing that this would lead to deep embarrassment, they decided to protect Shekhar Yadav, and therefore they have delayed the signature campaign. They have delayed the verification of signatures.
Notably, Justice Shekhar Yadav is due to retire in April 2026. So that is about 10 months from now. So time is ticking. If the impeachment motion goes through and Justice Yadav is removed or impeached, it will be a huge blot on the judiciary. If not, it will still be a blot on the judiciary and the parliament. And the message that would go out is that a judge can get away by making such remarks while holding office, and no action can be taken or is taken against him. But we'll wait for 21st July to get answers to some of these questions. That is when the monsoon session of Parliament kicks off. Now, whether the signature verification process is done by then and whether this impeachment motion moves through, if Jagdeep Dhankar agrees, will be of critical importance. But on his part, Justice Shekhar Yadav remains defiant as we speak. He still hasn't apologized for the remarks he has made, as was suggested to him by the Supreme Court Collegium. So clearly, the ball is in the court of Parliament, and we'll keep track of how things move on this front. That's all we have for this report. Thanks for watching.